in Director Pacharsik's testimony, he comments that state permitting actions and inspection of mines are among the most important ways to help ensure the law is being implemented and to protect society and the environment. However, in their budget, the department proposes to decrease funding for these state activities by $11 million. Can you explain to us how the state permitting and inspections process will be affected by this $11 million proposed cut? I'm not sure which one of you want to answer that. Probably Mr. Lambert.
Yes, sir. I'll be happy to take that question. You asked me a question a minute ago if primacy had ever been challenged. What this additional oversight inspection role would do would actually, OSM would have the ability now to come in and challenge the state's permitting processes. Thereby, the states have that primacy right now to review and approve mining permits. And we're certainly concerned about losing states' primacy if that happens. Also, we're concerned about the additional oversight inspections that they would be doing in addition to permit decisions. Additional inspections on the ground without state inspectors who has the knowledge of the permitted area, who has the knowledge of the program, would certainly put us in a position of or put OSM in a position of second guessing and adding additional resources that we would have to expend to go out and take care of perceived or violations that would be discovered by OSM. So the additional resources, second guessing our permit decisions, we could see the state's program suffering from those issues.
And this reduction in budget authorization, funding authorization of $11 million, that only serves to exasperate that situation, right?
You're correct. That would only increase the reductions that we would have to take in our state program to absorb that cut.
Okay. Let's see. From a state perspective, Mr. Lambert, what are your thoughts on OSM no longer conducting emergency abandoned landmine reclamation projects and the closing of OSM state emergency offices? Do the states have adequate resources in existing grants to carry out these functions on their own, or will we see a decrease in abandoned landmine reclamation projects?
We do not, for Virginia, we do not have the resources to absorb the emergency program. We're operating on a limited staff at this point with a limited amount of money to reclaim only the priority 1s and priority 2 sites that you heard talked about from Director Pajarsek this morning. If you add in the additional having to take the emergency program, then those resources that were dedicated to the priority 1s and priority 2s, which is public health and safety, we would no longer be able to do those and have to focus on the emergency program. In addition, if we go to the competitive bid process like being proposed, there's no way we could plan a budget from year to year, even to do priority 1s and priority 2 projects.
Yeah.
We would be tied up in a competitive bid process, pitting Virginia, Kentucky, all the other states against one another on who's going to get any money for that particular year. And I think Ms. Panetta could probably address that a little further than I could, since she's directly related to the AML program.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it would be a hardship, particularly the emergency program on minimum program states that only get between like $2 and $3 million a year. It is, specifically a hardship on them. And then in addition, OSM still has some of the regulatory authority to declare emergencies. So on one hand, they are going to cut the funding, but on the other hand, they still want to have some say in whether or not a site is an emergency and whether or not states can do that work. So that certainly is an issue. And as Butch said, Mr. Lampert noted the competitive process of these grants is also problematic because it takes several years for us to develop AML projects, going through the NEPA process, going through our public participation process and all the different communities and identifying these high priority projects. So going to a competitive process year to year would certainly hamper our process.
I appreciate your answers. Real quickly, let me close with saying this. I appreciate the testimony from all of you, and I'm disturbed because I hear creative double talk coming from the department and from the administration. Out of one side, they scream, protect the environment, protect the environment. Out of the other side, they handcuff the states, reduce budgets, and hamper your ability to respond to cleanup activities. And then they want to use those as justification for further regulatory overreach. It's just kind of sad. Thank you, and Mr. Chairman, I yield.